So I've been on a bit of a break, but now we're back with a new pattern, and today we're making this little clutch where you have a large main compartment with a zipper and also additional front pocket for your phone or otherwise. And this pattern is also super easily adaptable, whether you just want to have a chain on it or maybe you also want to add a belt strap or a shoulder strap. This pattern is quite versatile, so without any further ado, let's get into it.
So we'll need some parts, which are the main body, a few parts for the closure and flap, and also for our front pocket. And as usual, we'll want to get started by beveling and burnishing all pieces that we can already do. And while I'm doing that here in the background, a little bit more about this build. So I'm using 4 to 5 ounce Butero leather, so it's around 1.6 to 1.8 millimeters. And you can also vary a little bit from that, but I wouldn't use less than 1.4 and not more than 2. Otherwise, some of the parts will get a little bit tricky. And once we got that done, I will start with our zipper, where I first mark a 5mm line with my wing divider, so we know where to apply the glue. And then just use some contact cement on both the zipper and the outer shell to put our zipper in place. And because of some regrettable mistakes in the past, I'm also gonna mark the ends here to know which sides goes where, because you definitely wanna make sure you don't mess up these sides later on, or you will be very sad. And then I just use some pliers to remove the teeth of the zipper for the first 2 centimeters or so. And you should be wearing glasses doing that, because these can really go everywhere, or you can just do a safety blink while cutting it. And once those are removed, then we can actually put the zipper in place. And I just noticed on the main body I went all around with the glue, but for the bottom strip you don't really need it, so I'm just going to use my glue rubber and remove the contact cement. It looks as good as new. Always a good tip, and you can get these for a couple bucks on Amazon, and they're definitely worth the price. And then I'll start with the straight points first and wrap it around and make sure it's nice and tight before we take care of the corners. And there's different techniques on how to get these corners properly aligned, but what I like to do is use my awl and first press it down in the middle and then on the sections right and left of that. And you can repeat that depending on the circle, but for this usually 3 or 4 sections are enough. And then just gently press it down. And after we've done it with all the corners, then you also want to hammer it down to make sure it's properly in place. But glue is definitely not enough to hold our zipper in place, so we can also mark our stitch line and then actually sew the zipper in place as well. And while we're already at stitching, we can also get started to prepare a lot of the stitch lines for our front pocket. So we can already punch the closure and also all the stitch lines on the main body as well. Now I really like this part for the closure mechanism. So what I did is just use my 10mm hole punch and use the leftovers to make myself some 10mm circles. And now I'm just gonna glue that onto our strip. And this will elevate the closure a little bit, so it's also easier for you to actually put the closure flap in there, and it worked surprisingly well. Then I'm just gonna add a few more holes, and we can secure that with some rivets on our front pocket. And now you can see with the slight elevation, it holds in place really well. Just need to do the rest of our front pocket. So I'll also be stitching the sides of our front pocket. And here, just be sure to punch the side that already has been beveled and burnished first. And now we can glue the other side to our front pocket, and then we can stitch that together as well. After we've beveled and burnished the corners as well, then we want to start bending it outwards so that the side pieces sit at a somewhat 90-degree angle to the front of the front pocket. we can get started with attaching our front pocket. So I'll start on the bottom stitch line here, and then we also want to attach the closure on top, and then I'll show you what you need to do for the side pieces. And now for the side pieces, you just need to be a little bit careful because we want the first stitch of the side pieces to also go through the stitch of our bottom. But otherwise, then we can just stitch up these side pieces and we got ourselves a nice front pocket. Before we take care of the zipper, I will also be adding a small D-ring that we can use as a lanyard. But if you want to use this as a crossbody bag or you want to use it as a belt bag, now is a good time where you can add this on any part that you like. But also if you have any special questions regarding that, also just let me know in the comments and I'm happy to help you out. Now, unfortunately, I have also lost the footage that I've used for the zipper, but all I've done in this section is basically to put on your zipper, then add the end pieces of your zipper, and what we then do is just tug it on the inside of our bag. Otherwise, I'll just use a 40 centimeter long leather strip to also make myself a small lanyard so that I can carry this bag more easily. That already concludes our build for today. I really do hope you liked it, and if you did, also consider subscribing to the channel because I've got some really interesting updates coming in the next couple months, so stay tuned. And with that, I would say see you next time.